Hello and welcome to Channel Sports on Sunday. I'm Cecilia Mogbe in Lagos. Ken Achanaga, he's still in London, joining me from there. Ken, good morning. Ken, okay, maybe you have to unmute yourself. I cannot hear you. Okay, while we're waiting for that to happen, let me just quickly give a rundown of what the show looks like this afternoon. Yes, we'll be counting down to the FIFA Women's World Cup. It's 4 days to go, and the Super Falcons of Nigeria arrive Brisbane just this morning. Of course, afternoon Australian time, they arrive Brisbane. That's where they will be based before they travel to Melbourne for their first game against, of course, Olympic champions Canada. We'll also be touching down of the friendly that happens between co-host Australia and France. Australia winning by a lone goal. Renard is reflecting on that. And also, we'll talk about those teams that have been welcomed by the tradition. Most of the teams that are in New Zealand will be witnessing a lot of tradition because you know how that particular country is. So we'll touch down on how tradition and football is actually coming together in New Zealand. And also talk about football development, especially in Benue State, where the newly appointed FA chairman, Paul Ede, is trying as much as possible to make the FA self-sustenance. And of course, the best way to do that, he had to pay a visit to NFF president. We'll talk about that. And also, women's basketball, yes, anytime you have any kind of tournament at all, since 2020 when you've not had a basketball league in Nigeria, most of the players, there's something that they're pleading for, is for the Nigerian Basketball Federation to try as much as possible. I mean, be swift and fast in bringing back the league. We know the main phase, which is the first phase of the elite basketball, it's supposed to start in July, but we don't know the actual date. Even the players and coaches don't know about that. So we'll talk more about that because the third edition of the Olukoya Women's Basketball Championships ended in Lagos yesterday. And also, yes, a transfer, Rice, that has been cooking for a very long time, has been said to us. Now got their Rice. Declan Rice joined them on the long-term deal. And of course, Wimbledon, heartbreak for Ons Jabeur for the third time. Will she be fourth time lucky? First, it was at Wimbledon last year, and then the US Open, and again, Wimbledon again. So for Ons Jabeur, the Tunisian, she's aiming to become the first African, or the first Arab woman to win a Grand Slam. But it's not happening for her. We'll talk about that also on the program. Jide Alaka will be joining us to talk more about that tennis. But first, I think Ken is ready to join us now. Ken?
Hello, Sissy.
Okay, yes. I can hear you now, loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Like I said, today is the Wimbledon World Cup, Tennis World Cup final, the Tennis House for World Cup finals, like we always say. The Australian Open final, the French Open final, Wimbledon final, which is, the first one, the traditional one, and then we'll now go over to the US Open and Flushing Meadows, and those are the four. But this arguably is the biggest tennis tournament in the world, and then this final is the biggest showpiece you can think of. Records, Sissy. I know Jide will be joining us to talk about this, but then from whichever angle you look at it, for those of us in Nigeria, Nigerians or Africans, we look at it from, okay, fine, how do we, our participants, or the blacks who are African Americans or Nigerian Americans or Nigerians or other Africans who are participating, how do their progress in this competition kind of, propel, spill over, have that spiral effect on the continent. It's sweet for us to talk about the Alcaraz of this world, the Medvedev of this world, but how long we talk about, the Duke of Wimbledon, and then we say, how far, when long you go to Duke of this or do that, when will the Nigerian be there at Wimbledon, be there at the Australian Open, and then knock about it. But then that's another talk for another day. But for this one, it has been a great show for me. I was disappointed when Kukov was beaten in the first round, and I said, what is happening here? But then out of the news came in, a breath of fresh air in Christopher Eubank. A breath of fresh air at 27, you will say, because this guy is a late bloomer. He said, look, before, I mean, by June, he was calling this story, he was calling grass the stupidest, I'm sorry, he said the stupidest surface that you can play on. That it takes about 17 steps to make it on. He didn't know what to do about it. So somebody said, do this, Kim Cluster said, do this and do that. And I tell you, from number 77, he moved on to number 43 by winning the Mallorca Open and got into the grass court. And I tell you, he was a step away from going to the semi-final before he was beaten by Medvedev. So you can imagine, you know, a man who hates grass so much, who thinks this is just what he had never gone beyond. In fact, and he Stuttgart Open and Quincy he was knocked out in the first round. But here he was, you know, he got straight to the quarterfinals, and that is something to behold. But today is going to be Alcaraz versus Djokovic. You don't talk about Ons Jabeur, you know, being out there, you know, trying to win for Africa. Because actually, let me just say this before I come back to you. Africa has actually won the Grand Slam before. There is an African who has won the Grand Slam, and then that was Johan Craig. Johan Craig won the Grand Slam in Australia in 1981. Representing Africa, he's a South Africa. So let me tell you this, because you know the way they poach us, they just poach the guy. He won it in 1981. By 1982, he won it again. But this time, you know what? He won it as an American. You can imagine. So, instead of Africa having 2 Grand Slam winners, we just have a man who won one for Africa and won the second one for America. So we are still waiting. We are still waiting for another African to come and win the Grand Slam for us. And then for your folks, the ladies, Sisi, I don't know what to talk about you. I talked to them. Ons Jabeur, heartbroken. My day, I don't say my day was spoiled yesterday, but you know, I look forward to that. Great expectations. He was the favorite going to the last 2 Wimbledons. He's played at the final, but then it has been a bridge too far for now.
Yeah, it's been like that for Ons Jabeur. Okay, it's not just the 2 of us that are here. We have Jide Alaka joining us on Zoom, and also right here in Lagos studio, Theophilus Agmolawa is right here. Yeah. Theo, you were waiting for Ken to stop, so I can introduce you right. I know that. The anticipation.
Yeah, then again, it's Ken. Good afternoon. It's been a while. I'm glad that I'm back.
Okay.
Just picked out a couple of things that you talked about, and what piqued my interest was basketball and the talk about the league. It's just really sad that at this very point in time, we are still talking about the referee in the Basketball Federation and the stakeholders and all of that. It's really sad. Look at the performance at the African Championship. The players literally seemed disjointed. I didn't know what was happening there,
okay,
you know, but
don't talk about the players. Talk about the federation who don't have a plan or don't know what to do. So do not say the players
that was what I was going to dwell on. Because,
I don't know what,
Sisi, when you put people together...
You know what I'm saying? It. I've read a couple of messages. I've read a couple of tweets. I've read a couple of articles concerning the players. And I'm asking myself, did you guys call these players and ask them how they got to the qualifiers in the first place? You know when you call players a day to their tournament and telling them that you're playing the championship.
Exactly. That's what I was going to dwell on, because I know a couple of these players personally, and the way they were even put together in the first place, you can't really blame them with their performance and all of that.
But
so,
I think we'll come back to basketball or that. With Jide Alaka waiting, so we have to, you know, step it up and take tennis first.
Good morning, good afternoon, guys. It's nice to see Ken again. It's nice to see you, Sisi. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, so I just pick up the fact that what Sisi said, I just want to dwell on it a bit. Okay. I've been thinking about this. Why is it that, maybe in Nigeria, but let me just concentrate on the sports part of it. Why is it a carrot and stick thing? You can never say the truth. Why can't we say the truth? The athletes cannot say the truth. The coaches cannot say the truth. And then it is about owing people all the time, and then not saying the truth. Let us know how much you owe these guys. You could get somebody, Ken could wake up tomorrow and say, oh, let me pay off the coach, if he knows that you are owing him. But when you always, and then you start to victimize people who say the truth, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. Forget about the basketball thing. Look at the tryouts that are happening for the female team. Yes. We're in a big mess right now.
Okay, all right, let's leave this drama and quickly talk tennis. No, Jide, once we have you, we know, yes, it's going to be a field day talking tennis. Novak Djokovic and Alcaraz will be in action. I mean, Alcaraz is just 19. You know, he's world #1. He's a top seed at Wimbledon. And Djokovic, of course, you know, he's gunning for number 24. Now, he's tied with Serena Williams on 23. We saw how long, you know, Serena Williams tried so much. He got to 3 finals or even 4 finals, but he couldn't break that dog. But Djokovic today would want, he couldn't cross it. Yeah, it was more like, I don't know, the albatross that just, you know, refused to be cut off. And that holy grail she was trying to reach just didn't happen for her. But then Djokovic is trying to do that today. 24. And Alcaraz is the man that is standing, you know, to ensure maybe that will happen or it will not happen. So how do you see this panning out today, Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz?
Well, Ken called me yesterday. We spoke about it. At the beginning of the year, I actually told Ken on this program that I see Djokovic winning all the Grand Slams this year. I actually saw that because basically I've looked at every player on tour. It seems that Djokovic just gets better when a better player appears on tour. It seems he just gets better. So basically, I'm not betting against him. The only thing I will tell you, City, and you might laugh at this, is unless Margaret Court has X'd that 24 and Djokovic himself is not able to get there, then we know that an X has been put on that 24 that was won by Margaret Court. That's the only thing I can say. So right now, like I told Ken, I said, I don't love him, but because I love tennis, I have to like him. There's nothing I can do.
It's okay.
Yes, you know, to me, like Jide said, because most of the time I discuss tennis with Jide, and then I will look at things outside the main court. Medvedev used to thrive on hate. He will tell you he will make the crowd hate him, and probably that will bring out the best in him. But probably at least there was I think was it 2019 or 2020, the tournament in US Open, where he pandered to the crowd, and we're wondering, is it the same Medvedev that is doing it?
Medvedev.
Right now, that is what we are seeing of Djokovic. Djokovic started as Joker. You will see him on court trying to mimic, the antics of every other tennis player, trying to win the love of the fans. But I think probably he was trying too hard, because it's like the last time I talked with Jide, and Jide was saying, look, Roger Federer has a natural love. Nadal was there. There's a sentiment for Murray, and the little love that was remained was what was given to Djokovic. When those guys start retired, they are no longer. Roger Federer retired, and Nadal, we might not see him play again. We don't know what is happening to Nadal. Because look, at the last time at the French Open, he said, "I don't play in the French Open to participate. I play to win. And when I'm not fit enough to win, there is no need just being there as a participant." So probably we might be waiting to see if he will come back by the US Open. But right now, the lovers of Roger Federer, the lovers of Nadal, they are all on court, and the little people that were loving Djokovic were no longer there. Djokovic speaks out against the authorities, how tennis is structured, how much they are being paid. In fact, he even tried to form a rival, union, against the ATP to say, look, this is players oriented. This is what we want to do. So he's been controversial, and he doesn't take it about it. Look at the COVID thing. The man said, I am not going to take the vaccine. Remember how he was kicked out of the Australian Open, at the season before, and then came back this time to come and win it. So it's like he deliberately winds the crowd. He deliberately makes them look at. Sometimes he wins a point, and I'm sorry to say, but he's graceless. He will tell you it is the brain. He will tell you, okay, you cheered him. Why don't you also cheer me? I'm trying to see your own chair. You cheered his, his point. Do that for me. So here is one. I don't know, probably if this is what ginger him on. Is what keeps him going at 36. But it's like we are saying here. I think right now he is the greatest. He has won more Grand Slam. He has won more Masters 1000. So there is no dispute about it that he is the greatest he has won on-court tennis player of all time. But can he beat Alcaraz? They met at the semi-final. You understand, you guys in the industry, you understand that, at the French Open. That semi-final, Alcaraz was injured. This is the 4th grass tournament Alcaraz is playing. He won the 3rd tournament. This boy is something else at 20 years old. Is this a breed of... In fact, Djokovic won his first Grand Slam, 16 years ago. Alcaraz was just about, I think about 4 years. 4 years Djokovic won, and here they are meeting. Anybody who takes this goes back to Alcaraz. If he wins, he remains #1. That is what it has been from French Open to the Queens to where they are. Look at how he destroyed Medvedev in the semi-final. 6-3, 6-3, 6-3. At least this is Jide. We have a monster here. I think probably was the future. I'm trying to coin this expression. Is the future? I wanted to say the future is Alcaraz, but he's already world #1. So the present is already Alcaraz. So I don't know what we are going to say. Whatever it is, I think we are going to. I think it's going to be a battle of monsters today at XW19.
Jide, will you equate Alcaraz to a monster at this age? He's just 19.
Yes, just like Ken said, I totally agree. And one thing you know about monsters is that when they want to grow horns, they know where they are lacking, and they try to get help. After the French Open, he said that he lost the emotion of the moment, and he has been working with the psychologist since, and we can actually see.
Kim Clijsters played in 4 finals, right? Before she finally won at the US Open. Now, that's 5th time lucky. I mean, then you also have Andy Murray, who played like 3 times, right? Before he finally won one. Now, you have Ons Jabeur. She's lost 3 already. I mean, US Open and Wimbledon. But for Kim Clijsters, we know hers was French Open twice, then won in US Open and also won in Australia. Now, what advice will you give to Ons Jabeur, and what can she do differently so she doesn't go the way of, now she has joined Andy Murray now, but then Kim Clijsters, hers was 4.
So let me say it this way. I think Kim Clijsters' situation and Ons Jabeur's one are different, totally different.
Okay.
Look at the people that Kim Clijsters lost to.
And just like I was talking about Christopher Eubank, Marketa has not even been good on grass. This is, she would just go first round and get knocked out. And she doesn't let me just come and enjoy myself.
Enjoy London.
With Ons Jabeur having her worst career defeat, according to that is her words. So this is the worst career defeat she has ever had. She broke down emotionally. She cried on course. But we also know that tennis players who have cried. Remember when Nadal was beating Roger Federer and Center, and at the Australian Open after one defeat, the great one broke down and cried. We remember Andy Murray crying after those losses, but they came back. I just hope that this also will be the path that Ons Jabeur is going to tread for Tunisia, for the Arab world, and for the African continent.
Okay, Theo, let me come to you. Do you think the pressure is actually getting to Ons Jabeur? Because we know Serena tried as much as possible to win a 24th. She never did. Because anytime she's playing the Beyoncés of this world, everybody, they want to be there to, to watch her play. So she got stuck on 23 until she retired. Now, you see, all eyes are on Ons Jabeur now. Everyone to see. Are you going to do, the Arab thing, the African thing, everything else? Do you think it's the pressure? Because, how many people will lose a final? Straight set, 2 sets. Unseeded player who is not, grass is not, her
Judy aptly put it when he said, probably she needs to meet with Novak Djokovic.
Djokovic.
Let him put. See, you have to be a mentality monster in times like this. You go into a final knowing fully well you are the favorite. And like Ken rightly put it, she had basically avenged, beating almost everybody that had beaten her before now, only getting to the final and then bottling it, leading 2-0 and 4-2 in the first, and then going on to lose it eventually. Yeah, she's 28 years old, but like you said, Kim Clijsters had been like that. It happened with her before, and she can still go on the way and still go on and win it. But at the end of the day, you have to have that mentality. Go into the final and make sure that you get the job done. And I think that's what she needs to do. So,
Jide, let's just get the final one from you before we let you go on the tennis. Overall, Wimbledon, have you enjoyed it?
Of course he has.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I've seen what I wanted to see. I predicted at the beginning of the year, I still think, and this may not happen, that Djokovic has 4 more Grand Slams to win. As in, he's going to get to 28. No, I'm serious. Okay. I'm really serious. If he stays fit, there's nobody that's going to beat him in Australia. Forget it. If he wins today's one, he will win the US Open. he will win Australia again.
Okay.
So maybe we'll jump over French Open and come to Wimbledon and win and say bye for now. That's the I give Alcaraz is the present and the future, but its present does not start today.
Oh, okay. Well, Jide, I want to thank you so much on that note for joining us today on the program to talk tennis.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's go on a break. When we come back, of course, we'll count down to the FIFA Women's World Cup. The Super Falcons, they are in their base right now. Welcome back. Of course, we'll make some changes in the studio. We have Jimmy Ogulano right here. Hi.
Ever a pleasure to be here. I disagree with Jide when he does say that the monster mentality in Djokovic is something that cannot be upended. I actually do feel that when you consider what Alcaraz has been able to do thus far, I mean, it's something a little bit balanced between the two of them. In terms of statistics, I think he's got the momentum going for him. He's won 5 titles already this year. Djokovic won 3. And also when you do consider the fact that in his career thus far, he's done what Djokovic had not been able to do at his age. You know, Djokovic won his first title at the age of 24. Alcaraz won his first title at the age of 19. And right now, you consider also the fact that Alcaraz is going into this particular game as world number 1. We've seen, you know, the changes from world number 1, world number 2. There's been this swing song between the two of them 6 times already this year. And I feel that Alcaraz stands a better chance than maybe what Jide has said. Jide has said fantastic things about Djokovic, which we acknowledge here. But you also want to consider the fact that Alcaraz has shown himself as one with 10 quality, plays with 10 stuff, is of indubitable quality. And I feel that, you know, it's more about what exactly Djokovic himself said. He talked about being hungry. And I feel whoever comes out the more hungrier, in the real sense of it, apart from the feast that is Wimbledon, I think that, yes, Alcaraz stands, you know, a great chance, especially because of the momentum. Your money is on Alcaraz. Definitely. Finally, someone is actually putting money on him. Let's see what's going to happen. 2 p.m. Nigerian time. That's when we'll be having the final of the men's singles. Djokovic and Alcaraz. Who's winning it? You don't know. All right. So it counts down to the FIFA Women's World Cup. 4 days to go, or you can say 3 hours and 3 hours and 3 days approximately. And 20 minutes. Just approximately. Approximately 4 hours. But the Super Falcons of Nigeria, they've arrived in Brisbane. That's where they will be based. They arrived this morning at Nigerian time, right there, and of course they were received by the authorities there, and also Nigerian communities, in Brisbane, especially the Igbo communities. There are a lot of them there, so they were out there to actually receive the Super Falcons of Nigeria. So for the Falcons, they played a warm-up game, a test match and they won before they left Gold Coast against Lions, whatever Lions is. But then the Lion Football Club in Gold Coast, the Lions, the dominant team. Yeah, dominant team. In the country. And I actually do feel that it's good for the morale. But when you also consider the fact that in times past, in the entirety of the competition, we've scored only 20 goals and conceded 63. That tells a lot about our woeful outing. But, the girls going into this game, they realized that, and having put 8 goals past the opponent and conceded 1, I think that they would want to, it shows that it can score goals, and maybe gives an idea of how Randy Waldron will be setting up. Definitely, you look at Imran starting Alozie, Demey, Ali in the defense, and also considering the fact that Rashida taking out Pomta, yes. Okay, taking out Pomta and Onomen. So you're going to be having Imran, having Demey. So that's a young setup. Very young. Very young. The only experience is Ali. Yeah, so the question now really... 3 inexperienced first debutants and 1 experienced player, not 2 debutants and 2 experienced. Definitely. So for me, I think that the most important thing will be how he sets up in the midfield. How he sets up with Jennifer Echejine, and also considering the fact that Ajibade and Ainde would not be playing. Although we saw that you used Onumonu up front. There have been a lot of flags thrown away and I think rightfully so. But at the end of the day, if the coach continues to express his optimism that she will come good, we just have to leave it that way, at least for now. So we'll consider the fact that, okay, he's got other players in the team, Gift Monday, Azizat Oshola scoring the brace in that particular game, also Ajibade weighing in with goals. The two ladies that are not going to be starting, they scored, Ayinde and Ajibade. I think that is instructive. But the most important thing is they don't get distracted. The most important thing is that the girls rise above adversity. There have been talks about the bonus disparity between themselves and NFF, someone ratting out and all that. We don't want to go into that because it's absolutely none of our concerns as Nigerians now. We want them to go get the best for themselves, get the best for the country, and I think that's the most important thing. They can solve all other problems, but then we also recognize the fact that till now, Godwin Izilian, the one that took them to the WAFCON in 2004, 19 years after, has not been paid his $12,000 and 2 million naira being promised by then President Obasanjo. I think it is instructive because we continue to have problems of wages being unpaid, allowances, bonuses, and I think this is the right time to talk about it so that at least the NFF...
Let them, can they finish the World Cup first? And then when they are done with this World Cup, then they talk about
Cecilia, that's exactly what Jide was saying. That's exactly what Jide was saying.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, going into this World Cup, when we had a NFF head of media and communication, Olajiri, because I needed to clarify so many things concerning the bonuses, especially going into this World Cup. Now, the girls were told before they left for Australia that normally, I mean, most countries, that's what they've decided to. That's why I'm putting actually the blame on FIFA, for instance. Maybe FIFA shouldn't have announced that I was going to give them money. No, because of that, most federations have now withdrew that, okay, the match-related bonuses that players usually get, performance bonuses, they're not getting it anymore. Because according to them, I mean, the money was increased by as much as 300%. From you getting 3,000, for instance, in case of the Super Falcons, you're not going to be getting 10,000 per match, because that's why you're having the 30,000 all through the group stage. So that's already settled with players, because when I spoke to some of the players, like, no, their focus is just on the game. So NFF shouldn't bring in their own distraction, nor the coach. I think they should everyone should focus on the players and then see what's going to happen at the World Cup. Because the players they spoke with were like, they don't know where it's coming from. Maybe the people who are talking may not be those that were picked to the World Cup.
Whilst I agree with you, I also feel that...
So let them finish. When they come back, the money that FIFA is going to give to the federation, let NFF use that to settle all the outstandings.
Whilst I understand what you're saying, I also agree that as much as possible, it is time for NFF to use this period to settle all outstanding allowances. No. If you say after the World Cup, we know how it happens. You win the World Cup, the players are stranded, and they start to, protest in hotels, go to...
no, that's not, it's none of the, that's not, the money concerning this particular World Cup, it doesn't have anything to do with NFF. FIFA is in charge of that, so let's leave that.
That is what I'm saying. These girls, if they want to talk about anything in terms of allowances,
let them get time distracted.
No, but what I'm saying, please hold up. What I'm saying is they should not be distracted. But if they have to make any request, it should be that regardless of whether it's the senior national team or the age grade teams, let them become time honored by requesting that all allowances, they may not get anything beyond what they have been promised by FIFA, which I think FIFA has done.
It's not they may not, they will not get. That is what I'm clarified. Okay, so they're not getting anything out. They will not be getting.
But can they be time honored to make requests on behalf of everybody, including Coach Godwin Izilian and also the other age grade teams that may have been owed allowances that, okay, we know, but we are sacrificing to say, you may not give us anything, but please, you got $960,000. Can you pay all so that we start on a clean note? That's what I'm thinking.
I hope they do that, because that clean note, that's what I was saying. Whatever happens, and if you're going, whatever money that's going to go to the federation now, because I know, according to NFF, they don't have money. So we're saying that we know, because the
Cecilia,
80% self-sustenance, we know that.
A couple of years ago, we had 65% self-sustenance. We know that's a fast.
A couple of years. Last year, we had it 80%.
We talked about bilateral relations and all that. But what we are saying at this point in time, which is the most important
thing, the money they are getting now.
The money they are getting.
Use it to settle your debt. Simple.
It's very simple. So
use it to settle
I don't think that Falcons should request for anything in terms of further bonuses. But let them use the opportunity to cement. But that's what I'm saying, basically.
Because they're not going to request it, but they already said loud and clear.
I'm trying to be diplomatic with my language.
Okay.
It is a clamor for them to become time-honored.
Let's move away from this, because I don't know why Jimmy had to bring into these particular discussions, because players are not talking, and the politician is telling that, okay, yeah, we know we are owing, but we will pay. When? We do not know. Okay.
Cecilia.
Hervé Renard, the coach of the French national team, yes, he took charge just 8 months ago, right? You know, I mean, not only in Nigeria, they have issues across the world. Selected countries, all of them have been in trouble. Now, I mean, Australia, they're good. With the contract that they have, I mean, they still get their match-related bonuses and everything. But, of course, French national team, Hervé Renard, the France and Australia, they played on Friday morning, and it was 56,000, I mean, capacity stadium, and it was filled up, and Australia won by a lone goal. And of course, the coach said that this simply means...
Cecilia, all these stats, they look good, especially when you consider those places where, you know, the national teams are being treated well, fairly, and, you know, being treated a lot more better than climes in Nigeria, you know, Nigeria and maybe a few other countries. But I would think that FIFA has a lot to do in terms of making sure they give more to female football. I mean, the winners of the last World Cup, they got $38 million. The winners of this particular competition will be getting $4 million. So you see Wimbledon, the winner goes with 2.35
you want to bring in equal pay.
We are not saying there should, but there should be more. There should be fairness.
They should be closing the gap now.
Close the gap, because you need to make women's football more of a business.
And that's why they are giving the players more money.
And that's why they are giving the players more money. You know, when you do well, we clamor that you do better, and it encourages you to inspire the female child that wants to, you know, express themselves by playing the beautiful game. So the quest now will be that, as much as possible, FIFA should try and bunch up the marketing packages for their sponsors. So you are not just sponsoring male football.
Let's talk about, let's see what's going to happen at this World Cup. Australia, of course, they've never won the FIFA Women's World Cup. France, they've never won the FIFA Women's World Cup. USA, Germany, South Korea, these are countries, China, these are countries that have won. Japan, these are countries that have won it before. And of course, Norway, I just try and remember that country. They won the World Cup before. But then you have so many countries that haven't won it. But France will be thinking of how they can do that also. With everything settled now, all the senior players are back into the team. Remember the time when most of the players said they were not going to go to the World Cup because of the coach at that time. But then she was asked to go, and then Hervé Renard came in, and he's been able to steady that ship, of course. According to him, he said there's this good faith and good feeling, so they're having a perfect team going into the World Cup. So you were going to talk about the sponsorship and everything that has to do with women football. Yeah, you have the floor, but maybe 1 minute so you wrap it up.
Okay, so like I was saying, I think some of the packages should be better lumped up together as much as possible to encourage those that are sponsoring male football to also, as much as possible, put some more money into female football, lump up some of the packages, so that at the end of the day, despite the fact that you are spending money only on male football, you are also seeing the female thrive. Off the hair, you were saying something about, you know, FIFA also doing a lot to make sure it goes around the continent to encourage female, augment club football and all that. Yes, we are not saying FIFA had not done quite well, but we are saying there's a lot more to be done to make women's football thrive better. We've seen, yes, there's this. At the end of the day, look at it now. We're talking about female football. If we had the leagues on, we'll probably talk less. If we had domestic leagues on, we'll probably talk less about the Women's World Cup. So some of these things have got to do with scheduling, TV rights, the commercialization of the game, how you make sure that even the domestic game on the different continents, they are better articulated. It's, I think, there's still enough time to get some of these things sorted. And, you know, I think most especially the $30,000 that goes to each player is absolutely, you know, magnificent. I think I love that idea.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, hope maybe the next World Cup, more improvement.
So that there will not be stories that touch.
Yeah, I think these are questions. All right, I mean, several teams are talking about the countries that are based in New Zealand for the World Cup, especially from the group stage. They were actually welcome on Saturday. You have teams like the United States, the Italy, Portugal, and of course other nations that are based there, you know, in Auckland. They were welcomed by that traditional Maori. That's the dance right there. That's why I said those teams that are in New Zealand, in Auckland, will enjoy a lot of spark at this World Cup. Okay, you ready to join us again now?
Yeah, I'm ready. Like you said last week we spoke to Ademola Olajire on this bonus issue. The truth is, because of what not just the female but the male teams have been having with bonuses. The Super Eagles have been to have their own issue. Remember that the Black Stars in 2014, the president has to send dollars from Ghana to go and meet them in camp. You know. Before they could get that one settled. So basically, FIFPro now approached FIFA and said, let us not leave it to the federations to decide how much the players will get. Let us, give them a proposal to say FIFA will now start paying directly to the players. So, like Ademola did declare out, and from what the English FA, the German FA, the South African FA are saying, probably for now, it's just the USA, Spain, and Australia that have said, because they already have a structured, agreed a way of paying these players. They said this is what will be happening. But for the others, FIFA now said, instead of you guys paying, we want to make sure that this rift do not happen again. We are going to take it from the money we are going to give you, then your own, you will use it for development and other things. Then this one will go to the players. And that is why the English FA, you understand? They now told they are still discussing with the Lionesses even as we speak. You understand? Yes. So say, look, last World Cup, you guys just had $10,000 as your match bonuses. Now you are having $30,000 minimum at this stage, which is, like you have rightly pointed out, 300% increase. We would have, if we have, negotiated, I don't think we would have even gotten to this level. Yeah. You are now getting this. So why do you want to also take from what FIFA has said? Whether it was this FIFA proposal, say, look, let us have this, so that this issue of bonuses will not be there. So we are surprised that even after it is supposed to have been settled, they now said no. Before FIFA said they are going to give us this money, you have already agreed you are going to give us this. I think it is for us to let us look at the timelines, look at the discussions, look at what the team was trying to solve. But like you said, probably it is high time FIFA and FIFPro also issue statements to clarify this and say, we do not stop your federation from giving you if they want to give you, but we believe that this is what you deserve. This is what we have taken out to you out of their own. If they say they have excess, but look at what Jimmy just pointed out. Yeah. We had Izile right here. This man is about 80 years old man. They are owing, he won this tournament in South Africa with the Falcons, $12,000. This opportunity for the FA. It's okay, fine. You are having about 1.5 million that is coming into your coffers. Take $12,000 to give this old man what was due him. This is his entitlement. I don't know whatever we said, because that I was just listening. I was just reading the coach of the Lionesses. She said the players have been negotiating with the FA. She knows nothing about it, although she's happy that they are focused in training. Yeah. The players negotiated with the FA. The players said they were going to go on strike. It is not the coach that asked them to do so. You have paid the players that I think the players have received their money, whatever. Why not pay the coach his due? What is $12,000 if you are getting 1.5 million? It is something. Please, we are pleading on this graph. We interviewed him on this show about some months back, and we are saying Let not this man die before you eulogize him. He has won the AFCON for the AFCON women for Nigeria as a coach. He has coached the under-17. He has done a lot of Nigeria. At this point in time, we should be giving him, not him asking for what was due him. This is an appeal. This is an appeal to Nigerian FA. Please, pay per zillion his due. That it is a worker must earn his wages. A laborer must earn his wages, and this is wages he has earned. The 2 million promised him also by the president, by the former president. Olusegun Obasanjo left power since 2007. This is 2020. That's 16 years ago. We're not talking about interest on that. Give him this, but let us enjoy. In the days that God is going to keep him, let him enjoy this. So I mean, I think Jimmy is on course there, and I truly follow what he has said. But our Falcons, $30,000 minimum. You understand? I think like the concentration to me is that we have lost more games at the World Cup than any team. We have conceded more goals than any team at the World Cup. 63 goals.
Because we always qualify. That's the reason.
This is the time we have been overqualifying. Let us make our qualification count, Sisi. It is time. Yeah. It is time to make that qualification count.
Let's see if we can do that. Well, the FIFA Women's World Cup is starting July 20th, and Super Falcons of Nigeria. The first game is 21st, and is against Olympic champions Canada. Fingers crossed of what's going to happen about that. Yeah, that's the countdown for the FIFA Women's World Cup. We're still counting down to the course for tonight.
Sisi, the ranking, I didn't want to look at ranking because Canadians, of course, they are the Olympic champions. They are ranked 7th. Australians are ranked 10th. Also are ranked 10th. The Irish are ranked 22. While we are ranked 4th, we are 40th. We are not, if we are to be seeded, even if we win 32 seeds, we are not seeded. So let's see. We are starting with Canada on the 21st. But I saw somebody, remember those friendlies who played against the USA, where we did beat the USA team. It is possible that we can beat Canada. It is possible we can beat Australia, the host nation. Of course, with the nation, that would be quite an intimidating atmosphere for the Australian game. And then for the Irish, I think it is 50-50. But if we can pull an upset, yes, I mean upset because the 40th ranked nation beating the 7th ranked nation in the world, the current Olympic champions, is going to be very difficult. But if we can do that, first surprises, get started well, I think we can still move on. And that $30,000 might become $60,000. We're talking about 42 million for the girls, and that would be great. That would be a great motivation.
A way to start. I mean, that alone, as you're looking at the money, that as you're going further, the money is rising. Obviously, you want to leave everything on the field of play. So we're wishing the Super Falcons of Nigeria the very best as they file out against Canada on Thursday. On Friday, yeah, that's 21st. All right, so let's leave.
3:30 a.m. 3:30 a.m. on Friday.
Friday morning, yeah, that's when it's going to be. All right, so let's talk about development of football now. Benue State, the Football Association, remember, they just elected a new chairman after the other one said, well, she can't continue anymore. So it's Paul Ede, who happens to be the chairman of Nigeria Hotels. He owns that private club. He paid a visit to NFF President Ibrahim Gusso. Of course, the executives were also, the Secretary General was also at that courtesy call, so to speak. And then the plan is, what we are taking away from this, is they want to host a business football summit. Now, that business football summit is going to help them. They have a lot of projects they want to work on, from infrastructure to having more, tournament that players can be engaged in football in Benue State, and also bringing back the glory days. But the way to start for him is to host that business summit. Then from there, they can generate revenues on how they can.
So what that tells you basically is preparedness.
Yeah, he's prepared. He's got a plan.
He's got a plan. He comes in prepared. He's got a plan. He's articulating the plan, and he's also making that representation so that everybody knows that when it is about football in Benue, he's a lawyer, so I'm sure he would have looked at all the rules, all the things that he needs to work around, the templates and everything. And also he's a sports person. So, this is the thing that we say that majority of our FA chairmen, they should have. They have a document that backs up, that they can always track with timelines to say, this is what we want to achieve in the next 5 years. This is what we want to achieve in the next 3 years. This is the short-term plan that we also want to, as much as possible, make sure we have done well on. And I think it's a good way for the Benue FA. And we encourage the other state FA chairman to do same. It will be something that would, have ripple effect on our football ecosystem.
Yeah, because when you talk about FAs, I know it's Lagos FA then that you used to hear so much about.
So much about,
but
yeah.
after, Lagos, which other state? And now you're having a Benue State, trying to override Lagos State. I know they're not sleeping. But let's take a listen to the chairman of Benue State Football Association and also NFF President Ibrahim Gusu talking about this business summit they want to host.
We want Benue State to return back to the glory days of football. In view of that, we have an activity planned coming August at the end of the Women's World Cup, tagged the Benue State Business Summit, Benue State Football Business Summit. We want to use this occasion to invite you. The idea behind the summit is that our vision is to ensure that we grow an FA that is investment-driven, that is self-sustaining, which is anchored in ensuring that we implement the mandate of FIFA, CAF, WAFU, and the NFF. And we cannot do this without the requisite knowledge in terms of how to generate funds in football. We want to also use this occasion to invite the President to be the chairman of that summit and declare the event officially open on that day, which would also signal the beginning of the Benue State FA Chairman's Cup.
I now have a relief as far as Benue State is concerned, because I know we have the right people that will do the job for us. So I want to assure you that under my watch, we are going to do everything possible to support you in Benue. And feel free to invite us, because that is why we are elected to represent you people here. So it is only when we get to the grassroots that we can get you the necessary support you require. And when you talk about the infrastructure deficit, even at the CAP level we discuss it. It's not about peculiar situation, it's an African problem. But at that level, they are also looking at the way to see how they can at least reduce it to a certain level. Without missing count, currently we have about 11 countries that are not playing football in their country because they don't have the required stadium to play football. So you see, it's not our national issue. It's just a continental issue. But by the grace of God, we will be with you to see how we can support you in whatever way, to talk to your government, to talk to whoever we need to talk to ensure that at least we cover that gap in the area of infrastructure.
Yeah, more like showing the way of how to begin a tenure when you are elected. You have a plan, and then you set it rolling, and then you involve those who should be part of that plan, selling the idea. We'll see what's going to happen when that Business Football Summit is being held. That's something I'm really happy about.
And Cecilia,
yeah.
Sorry, before you go to Ken, I think that as much as possible, it should not even come from the state. As much as possible, let it come from the local government, So if you have state FA chairman, as much as possible, let the officers at the local government level, maybe the sports council officers, let them engage that chairman, so that at least when they are engaged, they can have this summit. I know of a fact that in Ajegunle, Ken knows this quite well. They have been having this football summit. Yeah. So what that does basically is they are already thinking
this
about
is business. This is not just football.
They are not saying it's recreational. Yeah. So as much as possible,
so
you heard
bringing
what they said.
Business people.
They are talking about
sector.
Bringing in the private sector. They are talking about generating revenue. Instead of talking about
I'm going to meet the
local government chairman. You engage the local government chairman to give, to provide an enabling environment, so that when the private sector people do come in, it becomes easy for them to see that, yes, at the end of the day, where they are putting their funds in, they are getting, commensurate returns from.
All right, Ken, maybe you want to chip in on this one quickly before we go to basketball. I think time runs out.
Yeah, I was just going through my browsing through my phone, and I just looked at that the UK sport industry is worth £23.8 billion.
How much are we worth, Ken?
It tells you.
Ken, how much are we worth?
I don't know how much the Nigerian sport industry is worth, but then there's been from, I think, the last sport minister did come out with a document, which is to say how we can now make our sport in Nigeria as business instead of being recreational. But even if it is recreational, recreational is what you do, and then you earn money from it. There are brands like the WWE. They are recreational, and they make so much money. It's one of the fastest growing stocks in the world. So we can entertain, and that is what sport is all about. Fighting for laurels, but then it has to be an entertainment thing. So this is good from being with our state, but then they were maybe still talking to the government, or they were talking to the private sector. You look at the background of where they were sitting, and you see all the sponsors that the FA has. I wonder, with all the sponsors, why we still owe our players and owe our coaches. Probably they should, instead of asking us to give them money in terms of sponsorship, you might also fine, take this responsibility. Your cost centers, portion their cost centers. If the Spy goes on to travel, this how much you want to do. You want to employ a coach, please. Can you? I think there was a time that there was an organizer that was paying the coach of the Spy, because I don't know, it was everything was shrouded in secrecy.
That's the main reason why the coach didn't get most of his money, because once the corporate body is broke, and then the coach won't get money.
Yeah, but no, in this case, it might not be in say, okay, you pay them when it comes. You might pay for, if the man is going to be there for 3 years, you drop the money if it's possible. The corporate officer will drop that money in the bank and instruct them to be paying him as at when due. You don't say, yeah, this when that's one. So there might be terms of contract, there might be all those things. And when we do this, I think, but hotel that they're going to stay, which hotels who wants to pay, airline that you want to fly, who is going to do that? You can now start, segmenting sponsorship. And probably that will reduce their burden. But this is it is great. No matter, even if it doesn't amount to much, what is coming from the Benue State FA is highly commendable.
All right, let's leave that and quickly touch down on basketball, which is really a hard one for us to talk about, especially when you know that since after COVID, we've not had an elite basketball league in Nigeria. I mean, elite, you have a pick and drop games here and there, different tournaments here and there, organized by various bodies across the country. But the MFM, the third edition of the Olukoya Women's Basketball Team, is the third time it's happening. I mean, this was after they waited for a while. There was nothing on, so they decided to come up with this. And that's why so players, for themselves, have the opportunity to play. MFM, of course, they've been trying to win it. They've never won it. Usually the host, the church is the host, but they've never won it. They won it this time around against another MFM team from Bayelsa, and that's the team that went to Edo State for the qualifiers into the Elite Women's Basketball. Of course, they finished fourth, and so they will be part of those teams that will be playing in the Elite Women's Basketball League in Nigeria. That's when it starts, but most of the players don't even know when it's starting. So there's a special appeal to the NBBF to see how they can really start this. And of course, MFM won that 46-44. That's how it ended. So it was how many teams? But about 8 teams.
What else are we going to say about MFM's involvement in sports? I mean, they've done very well. Even if they have dropped off in terms of football, but they have been consistent with basketball, and we've seen, there's this engagement to ensure as much as possible basketball don't go totally down the drain. I mean, we have to commend MFM for what they have been able to do. It's something good to see, especially when you consider that the domestic league in Nigeria is almost non-existent, and that's why we are talking about open tryouts. For me, that's it's
non-existent, not almost. It's not existing.
Cecilia, at times I try to be diplomatic.
No, there's no diplomacy here. They haven't played basketball league in Nigeria. You're not talking about the different ones. We know we've had different ones that we cover.
If I were the one saying this, maybe you'd be on the other side.
The federation.
I understand you totally.
Yeah, so we have to state the fact here.
And I think that, the NBBF, they've got to take responsibility for
this. That's what we talk about planning. When you want to get into an administrative position, you need to plan. What is your timetable? How are you going to raise funds? I mean, excuses for so many years. I mean, before this current administration came on, we know that
Cecilia,
basketball was on TV.
You know what's most damning is the fact that if you consider, the administrators in NBBF, they are probably the most sophisticated in terms of intellect and in terms of personality. But
we don't want to hear grammar. We want
no, that's what I'm saying.
We want to see what's happening on court. We want to watch games.
That is why we are challenging them. That's why we are challenging them to put the house in order, because we don't want, we cannot continue like this. Excuses. That's why we are having, we'll continue to have excuses. Excuses have become a game now.
Let's listen to the players, and then we'll hear from them. So they've got a message to send return to the MBBF and also talking about this particular championship?
It was a big challenge, but we tried to put ourselves together. Down from Edo, when we went for the elimination of the Zenith League, we tried all our best to come out top of our group. And back home here, we tried to go back to the drawing board because ahead of the championship, and we give glory to Almighty God. We are victorious at the end of the day.
Finish. Okay, we wanted to hear from the players, but then I think we have to go. We wanted to hear from the players talking about these particular, you know, the messages they're sending. Maybe some other time we'll hear from them. Ken, I know you need to drop your pen now.
The goat was unveiled. But I do know that, yes, his unveiling, as they were unveiling, his team was being promoted 3-0 by St. Louis. Let us see if the presence of Leon and Messi will change the fortunes, you know, of Inter Miami. I dropped the pen. I wish before then, look at what is going to happen. Have a very blessed Sunday.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Djokovic, 36. Messi, 36. At this point in time, he's got to do everything possible to drag his team out of the doldrums.
Okay. Let's see if Messi magic can actually drag Miami out of that doldrum. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sister Omogbe. Have a fantastic day.